90.5. You heard? I seek refuge in God against Satan, the accursed, in the name of God, the beneficent, the merciful. Praise be to God, Lord of the world, Master of the day of judgment. You alone we worship, and you alone we ask for direction. Show us the straight path, the path of those who have gone before us, not the path of those who have gone astray, nor the path of those who don't deserve your favor. Good morning, listener, and a hearty welcome to the dial 90.5 megahertz. It is yet a day, a blessed day. It is day 22 of the month of August in the year 2024. By His will, we have found a way, for when He declares something, you only need to say, be, and so it is. And so He says we should live to see this day. And so with this, we are grateful to the Master of the universe for the gift of life as we continue seeking refuge in Him against difficulties, calamities, troubles, oppression, and the ridicule of the enemy. May He continue to be with us today and forevermore. Sustain us with His power. It is time to have that tete-a-tete conversation with our own brother. A voice you have missed for some time now is back. Today's conversation is gonna be an intro just to help you know that He is around and what to expect of Him in the coming days. Tell a friend to tell a friend that we have a special guest for you on Mic 90.5 megahertz. My name is Yaro, Ismail, Kataali. Thanks to the entire production crew. From the production directorate, Abdurazak Zakaria Zakvila, to the technical directorate, Akable and Abdurrauf Musa, to the programs, Adam Al Hussein, my special assistant, Gani Yuhadi Yuma. Even before I welcome him in studio, I would want to let you know that that special person goes by the name Ashmee Mohammad. He is a former broadcast journalist who has worked with Diamond FM in Tamale and the multimedia group as a regional correspondent. He traveled abroad for further studies and heads back to his homeland Ghana to continue serving humanity and God. Today, we would be looking at his journey thus far, from a humble beginning as a media practitioner to a communications and media development specialist. And now his newfound love. He's developing a special interest in development politics. And then so I trust you would want to hear a lot about that. So once again, thank you so much for staying tuned in. Without much ado, I welcome him. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on Mic 90.5 megahertz.
Good morning, Yaro. And then let me also say good morning to your listeners and your viewers across the globe. Great.
It's been a long while. I mean, happy to see you. You look so good.
Oh, I thought you were saying that I look miserable because
Really?
one cannot look good under this economy that we are facing. Every day, the excruciating hardship is very, very high, and then it's very, very difficult to survive under this economy.
Then the magic should be, coming from the Midas touch of our wife at home. She should be, treating you very much well under these conditions that you've just mentioned.
Yeah, we are both treating ourselves very well. She's doing very well.
Okay, great. So thank you very much. Without much ado, we're going to, first start with the background and career transition. Can you tell us about your journey from being a broadcast journalist to becoming a media and development specialist? What inspired the transition?
Yaro, as you are very much aware, I have been a journalist, and my specialty has been a broadcast journalism, and I've done this work for more than 2 decades now. But my journalism journey started at Diamond FM, and within that time we were doing sports. It was actually Emmanuel Dogbeji who introduced me to journalism, and journalism from the start wasn't my passion. But I do within that time I had the passion for sports. And he was a very good friend and then a brother, so I do go at that time. I do go to him. We discuss sports a lot. So at a point in time he told me that he wanted us to start a sports program at Diamond FM. Myself and then Shrad. I'm a Shiraz. I know you would call.
Very much.
So that time I think
he's back. Has he traveled back?
Yeah, he's still he's in Italy.
Yeah,
because the last time I spoke to him 2 months ago, he was in Italy.
Yeah, I think he was around. I saw him with Honorable Suyini.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it has been a while. I've spoken to him after 2 months. That was 2 months. I spoke with him 2 months ago. And we started a sports journalism. I was a producer then. That was where I started learning journalism practicals. And thankfully, apart from Emmanuel Dogbeji, at that time we had a very experienced journalist, Mr. Edward Ameibo. He was one-time Ghana Journalists Association president. He was a very prolific writer, and then someone who could give you tutorials on how to go about journalism even without being in the classroom. And like I told you, when I started journalism, at that time I was in senior high school. I was in Ghana secondary school. I think I was in Form 2 then, second year at Ghana senior high school. So we will close school, and then weekend we will come, and then we will produce a resource of European league centers. Those days it was very, very difficult to get results of European matches because the internet was not broad as it is today. So what we were doing is that you monitor BBC, and even the BBC itself, to get the signal, it was very, very difficult. You have to identify a specific location where you could tune in, and then you get the results. So when we get the results, we come in and then we start mentioning the results, and then people were wondering how we were able to get international news at that time. It wasn't easy at that time practicing journalism and then trying to update people with current affairs that were happening around the globe. So that was how I started my journalism journey. And then when I completed university, multimedia advertised, looking for a correspondent. So I applied. We went for interview, and then at the interview stage, I was picked. And when I was picked, I worked with them for more than 2 decades. I think for more than close to a decade, close to 2 decades. And then I finally traveled outside Ghana to pursue my master's at Belgium University of Antwerp, where I pursue advanced masters in development, evaluation, and management, with my specialty being political economy analysis. So that has been my journey so far.
That's great. That's great. Having gotten here, I mean, what skills from your journalism background have you found most useful in your current role as communications and media development specialist?
I have always maintained that the converging place between the state and its citizenry is the media. And then when you happen to find yourself as a journalist, you wield a lot of power, because the Constitution itself gives a lot of power to the media. If you read the freedom and independence of the media, the Constitution requires that journalists hold duty bearers accountable on behalf of the state. So it was the passion that drive me into journalism. When maybe the citizenry are aggrieved or they have challenges, you go to them with your microphone, and then you bring it to duty bearers with the hope that duty bearers will attend to their grievances. When the state too also have some grievances, you go to the state actors and then you bring forward the information with the hope that the citizenry will collaborate with the state, so that at the end of the day we can all have a better Ghana. And that has always been the passion that motivated me when I was doing active journalism, when I was doing field reporting. For instance, I have maintained that journalism should be defined by society needs. If your journalism, because if you find yourself in a developing country like that of Ghana, and then your journalism is not defining society needs, society needs in a sense that if in the community that your station is situated are having water challenges, and you are unable to play a role in bringing the challenges forward for duty bearers to act, then you are not doing journalism. Because our part of journalism is not like the developed world where it is market based. Our journalism is driven by the society, the needs of the society, amplifying the voices of the marginalized and then the weak. So the things that always makes me happy, or that made me happy within the time I was doing active journalism, was when I do a story and then duty bearers act, and then the results come. And I can count several stories that I have done, and then duty bearers have acted on it, and it has yielded positive results
for the doubting Thomases. Just mention a few.
I think one story I always cannot forget was the story I did about the Saviligo morgue.
Okay.
And patients sharing beds, the dead sharing space with patients at that morgue.
Okay.
I think that story traveled far. It even attracted the attention of the sector minister, the health minister. And then I didn't end that story there. I think I did another. I followed it up doing a story about how several districts in northern region were lacking district hospitals, and then residents or patients in those areas were committing long distances in search for health. And then I can also remember that is the health sector.
Yeah, even with the TTA, before, there was something.
Yes, we did a story. Extortion was very high there.
Very much. I remember
especially
that
the maternity block. We did the story there. It has not changed completely.
Yeah, but it has reduced.
It has reduced.
Yeah, the rate at which
the rate at which it was happening reduced significantly.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of them because it has been long. I know sometimes once a while, if I use the internet and then I Google my name and then I see the kind of stories that are attributed to my name, I feel very, very proud. And I'm happy that I've been able to contribute positively.
Yeah, we are very much proud of you. Ghana is proud of you. Africa is proud of you, and the world is equally proud of you. I mean, for the work that you have done in the field of development journalism. Today, as we speak, some few, are trying to change, the lens of journalism. For them, it's like churning out controversies, sparking controversies, attracting traffic to themselves, and where they operate from is what is good than focusing on, trying to correct the wrongs, addressing the challenges the people are facing. This should be our focus as, a broadcast journalist, as is mentioned. And I trust that, we would find time to continue speaking and reminding ourselves about the need for us to focus on development journalism instead of trying to be creating unnecessary tensions, just for for want of a better word, self-appreciation, attracting, traffic to ourselves and the media that we work, for. So thank you very much for sharing that. So from the presentation, it appears, your further education outside Ghana has sort of added a lot of value to your appreciation to development journalism. How different is the practice, if you want to relate it, your experience in Ghana and what you've seen outside Ghana?
Well, like I mentioned, Ghana is a developing country, and then the Western world is a developed place, and their type of journalism put business at the center stage.
Okay.
But in our part of the world, it is about some of the developmental challenges that we are lacking. That is why I earlier mentioned, in the spirit of the Constitution and the freedom and independence of the media from Article 165 to 166, the Constitution demands that journalists hold duty bearers accountable on behalf of the state. It is not just for any reason that the Constitution is demanding that kind of responsibility from journalists. It is simply because we are a underdeveloped country, and then the state cannot have its ears everywhere. It needs, so like I mentioned somewhere that being a journalist is like being a conveyor belt. It is like, I think that without journalism, there are certain communities no one would have ever maybe heard of them.
Yeah, very much so.
It is the work of journalists that will bring them to the center stage. And sometimes they are and sometimes there are certain, and sometimes too there are certain communities too. It is the work of journalists that enables them to participate actively in governance.
Yeah.
For instance, I do know each and every day you will have a participatory program where you table an issue with the hope that the communities will call in, and then they air out the challenges that they are facing in their communities. Such kind of programming improve participatory democracy, and once it improves participatory democracy, it means that every citizen is participating actively in the governance of this country. That is why I have said and I have maintained that the level of democracy of Ghana is now such that it will be very, very difficult to navigate your way through our democracy to maybe to aid certain wrongdoings, because there are now journalists everywhere, and thankfully with the help of digital technology, the social media itself has equipped people with digital literacy, and they are able to use the social media itself to do citizenry journalism. And these days it is easier for people to know who is doing journalism properly and who is not doing journalism properly. Because when something happened in Saviligo, before journalists will get to Saviligo, the citizenry would have the citizens or the residents there would have reported it. Media. So now you, the journalist, when you want to build a story around it, the residents or the audience who wants to listen to you do not want you to repeat what the citizen journalists have already reported. They want you to use your sources very, very well to tell them a broader story about what is happening. Like I will give you an example. The Kataali incident. I monitored the Kataali incident in the social media. And some of the reports I was very, very sad about it being a journalist, because for me it was like one-sided story. We were just being told one-sided story. We didn't hear much. The story was just about what the eyewitnesses were saying. But I do know police were there. We didn't hear much. Yeah, we didn't hear much about the police. And so all these incidents put together, it tells you that even though journalism is improving, we still have certain challenges in which we need to deal with.
Exactly. There is a lot to address as far as our practice in this field of journalism is concerned. We would find a lot of time to, zero down to that specifically. Today, as mentioned earlier, we are happy to have you here just so we can introduce you to the world and let them know that you are back, in a better version of yourself. So in the coming days, we'll have you more here. We'll come to look at your passion for politics. So listener and the viewer, in case you have just joined us, this is Might 90.5 megahertz. We are having that one-on-one conversation with Ashmee Mohammad. He is a former broadcast journalist. He is now a communications and media development specialist. And then he is here with us, and I trust that you are enjoying the conversation we are having together. So let's look at what sparked your interest in politics and how do you see it intersecting with your work in media and development.
Okay. Now, my past experience with my past experience being a journalist was that we report the news with the hope that duty bearers will act. And sometimes, maybe because of politics, duty bearers don't act. And politics is such that it wills you with a lot of power to be able to take certain critical decisions. And what I study, development, evaluation, and management, and with my specialty being political economy analysis, I look at the constraints and enablers of development. And when you dig deep into theory, and then you look at state actors and then non-actors, formal and informal institutions, and then the relationship that exists between the two, you come to realize that sometimes when you are in a position to act, you are able to help your people to impact positively on your people better than when you are in a position just to tell the story and then leave it at that space. Now, I have worked telling people the story with the hope that state will act. Now, I have developed myself. Yes. Now I have developed myself to a level that I want to be in a position
to help in addressing
the challenges that I was reporting then as a journalist.
Great.
So everyone wants to develop himself. You don't want to be static with your development.
Exactly.
So at a point in time, you want to embrace new opportunities, and then how you can use that new opportunities to impact positively on your people. So that has been the passion, trying to move away from being an active journalist to being trying to involve myself actively in politics.
Great. You've been around for a while after acquiring your second degree, and then I trust that just relaxing and observing the happenings in Ghana, you have a lot to share with us. What do you make of the current development in the space of politics in Ghana? Are you okay with how we are doing our politics here vis-a-vis what you've observed outside the country? And then going forward, what suggestions would you bring forward to young persons interested in embracing politics, how they should go about it?
Well, what I've observed is that the politics of poverty reduction formulation and has given birth to a lot of freebies. And then now, because of the politics of poverty reduction formulation, every political party wants to give a lot of freebies without looking at what the economy can provide. And it is becoming a challenge for us as a country. Now, I tell you, if you look at from the period of 2012 to 2016, the new patriotic party, this current government, promised a lot to Ghanaians. And then they are in government, and you and I do know how the implementation of those promises, those policies that they promise, how the implementation is becoming a challenge to them. Take the free senior high school policy. It's a very, very good policy, but the implementation is somehow challenge. We are having a situation where some students will go for 4 months and then they'll go back home, and then another group will come. By the time the first group will return to school, they have forgotten what they have taught them in school. So all these challenges, I think, if maybe I like the policy where maybe the NDC were looking at a situation where it could be progressive, where we address the infrastructure. I
was going
challenges.
to ask a question on that, because for the NPP, that the NDC shouldn't be speaking about the free SHS, because to them, they were first to reject it, and so there is no need, promising that Ghanaians should give them the mandate just so they can come and continue with the free SHS.
I don't think NDC rejected it. Free senior high school policy is a constitutional directive.
Okay.
And then once it is a constitutional directive, in the wisdom of NDC at that time, they were in power. They knew the challenges of the country as far as the educational sector were concerned. And then for them, they thought that maybe putting in the adequate infrastructure to get people enrolled into the free senior high school policy was something that was going to help us. Now, the MPP at that time thought that, well, even though there was not adequate infrastructure for them, they could roll it out. Now they roll it out, and then you and I can attest to the challenges that we are all complaining about. So it has brought us back again. We are now going to look at how we can address the infrastructure deficit to be able to meet the growing demand of children who wants to enroll themselves into the free senior high school policy. I think that was just the difference between NDC and MPP. Now the NDC is saying that for them, if they come, they are going to dedicate resources to the free senior high school policy, so that we will not have a situation where students will go and then they cannot find classrooms, and then we will have to be running a shift system where some group will go for 4 months will have 4 months of education, go home, and then another group will come. For me, I think the proposal put forward by the National Democratic Congress, it will be an improvement.
But for many, the thing is just a political, talk, as because they think they want the votes of the electorate.
They have mentioned once the flag bearer has mentioned
what would interest the electorate, just so they can give them their mandate.
They are going to commit and dedicate resources or finances into the policy. Then you can be assured that it is a policy that they wouldn't come and then they will joke with.
Have they tried something even before they exited power in that direction?
Have they tried something? Yes. I think they tried the free senior high school, and within that time it was just for day students. I remember covering a story about that. I think it was in the Gushegu district. It was one of the pilot senior high schools that the NDC tried under John Dramani Mahama to pilot the free senior high school for day students. And I remember within that time it was Alhaji Fusini, who was the district chief executive then, and they disbursed monies to day students as benefit for the free senior high school policy for being day students. I do remember that.
Okay, there is this banter between the NDC and NPP over who has the best interventions, how do you call it? Yeah, interventions. Because for many, they think that for the Planting for Food and Job, NAPCO, and others, and the how do you call it? The Metro Mass transport system and all of that. These are things that came to ease the burden of the ordinary Ghanaian, which the NDC then never thought of. I mean, following Ghana's politics, what do you say or what do you think about these?
Well, these policies were already existing policies. We have the state transport system that were run, and they were just existing policies. They only came to improve upon it. And they are not the only government that is improving upon existing policies. NDC have improved upon a lot of existing policies. And if you are someone who have been reading previous manifestos of the National Democratic Congress, you will come to the realization that they have a lot of good policies. Of course, you can be in government and then you will be able to maybe address all your policy implementations, but I think that if you put the NDC and then the MPP in one room, and then you want to do the analysis very, very well in terms of social interventions, the NDC as a political party from former late Jerry John Rawlings government up to date, you cannot compare MPP to the NDC. And the NDC is far ahead.
Okay, so let's look at the manifesto of the NPP which was launched. I trust that you made time to watch, listen, and equally read. Which part of it caught your attention so much?
Which part of it caught my attention? For me, in all honesty, when I read and I listened to some information about the manifesto in the media, and for me, I thought it was just a manifesto. I think it was just a plagiarism of what the NDC Youth manifesto even promised.
Really?
Yes, because in terms of from the sector of digital technology to the free, how they are going to improve on the free senior high school policy to the agriculture sector. I think that it was just a plagiarism.
Let's take them systematically. What did the NDC say in their youth manifesto, and how does that reflect in the NPPs?
For instance, when the NDC launched the youth manifesto is to address specific issues that bother about youth development in the country. Now they have promised Ghanaians that they are going to address a system where parents have difficult challenges in terms of paying admission fees of first year or level 100 students who get admission and wants to enroll themselves into the university. The NDC is saying that they are going to absorb the first year fees. That is, and they term it as the fees stress or something like that.
Okay.
The fee stress, that they are going to absorb that, and then they will pay for all tertiary year first year students. And they are saying that after the first year, they want to improve upon the student loan system, where after the first year you will have access to the loan system, so that you can use the loan to pay for subsequent years, and that will be able to take care of all finances with regards to your university education from second year to the fourth year. Okay. And I think that if that policy is a very, very good policy, because we are having a situation where a lot of parents at the university level, they are unable to pay for their awards admission fee, and it is always a burden on parents. And if that policy is implemented and they are
it will lessen the burden of many.
Lessen the burden.
Yeah, very much so. I remember so well, going to school and then getting to that level. It wasn't easy for some of us.
Yes, and then they are also going to they also have a policy where they said they were going to the National Apprenticeship Program, where, for instance, like let's say Might TV, you have a training program for young people who want to learn about broadcast journalism or media work. They will enroll the youth, boys and young boys and then girls who wants to learn much about media development or broadcast journalism, and then they can come to Might FM and then learn. After graduation, they will equip them with the necessary equipment so that they can go and start up their own business. I think that policy is also good because
so those are the NDCs.
Those are the NDCs.
Okay.
But for the MPP, it is just
how it reflected in the MPP would come to that. But what you've just mentioned, I think, your godfather Haruna Idrisu he started something like that. A couple of young men and women were trained and CCTV installations and others. There were plans to continue. I trust that in the coming days, a lot of that would happen. Some of them were graduated, and then I trust that support will be given to them to continue. There are a lot of plans in the pipeline towards that. So when you were saying it appears to me maybe it's part of the suggestions they made that the NDC accepted to add into
and then
the youth manifesto.
Even to improve that, the reason why I say it was just a manifesto plagiarism is that NDC promised to establish a women development bank. Now the MPP, knowing very well about that policy, quickly also developed a policy in their manifesto that they were going to develop I think SMEs bank that will not only address maybe women issues but will also address male issues. And I think that that policy is just an afterthought after the NDC proposed that. I think that they could have, because you are in government, what is preventing you from maybe bringing up such policy? There are certain policies maybe
they are barely left with some few months for elections.
If you are in government, even you maybe along the line there may be certain policies you introduce maybe which were not originally in your manifesto, but maybe at a point in time you will find it very, very necessary that well this policy, if we bring it, this is an emerging challenge, so let's bring this policy to address the emerging challenge. But you don't wait for some people to develop a policy aimed at addressing the challenges women goes through in accessing loan, and then you turn around to develop a similar policy, knowing very, very well that the person who is developing that policy has a credibility deficiency. So it will be very, very difficult for the people who you are communicating to.
Can we also say that it is because Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is now the standard bearer, so some of his suggestions are coming to play? Maybe the president and Ado Dankwa Akufo-Addo couldn't think about that. If you say standard
bearer, I don't understand in terms of what standard.
He's been elected by the party to hold the flag of the party going into the December elections.
Oh, you mean flag bearer?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you said standard bearer. I thought you said he has
not in that
standard in which people need to improve.
As a lead person in the NPP party now, so some of his suggestions can come to play. Maybe then it could be that he made those suggestions but they did not work, but now that he leads the party as the flag bearer going into the 2024 December elections, these things should be. Would you agree to that? And again, saying they've sort of stolen some of your ideas. Sometimes we may think alike, telepathy. Once you are thinking of doing A, someone may equally be thinking of doing the same A. So should it emerge as it is? Why would you assume?
Political parties, who can the electors trust in terms of which political party can give them a proper implementation. I think, of course, it will be NDC. There are several policies that the NDC have been able to implement successfully with minimal challenges.
Yeah, would you want to enumerate some of them and match them with those that you think the NPP have implemented shoddily?
Well, for instance, in the health sector, the previous Mohammad government, President Mohammad realized that there were inadequate health infrastructure, and he moved to build a lot of CHIPS compounds.
Correct.
So that it can improve health at the primary stage, and then at the tertiary health
and even regional hospitals.
Yes, that is what I am coming to. At the tertiary health level,
okay,
he was able to build a lot of regional hospitals and then a lot of referral centers. Today, if there is an outbreak of any virus or something like that, you can trust that we have enough health infrastructure that can be able to attend to the needs of Ghanaians. That is a very perfect policy, because health is a very, very important sector in terms of the development of any country.
Very much.
Now look at the rural electrification project. Look at where NDC took rural electrification to, and then you compare it to that of the MPP. And
I know we don't have time, but you could elaborate on that, just so a learned person listening to us would appreciate the angle at which you are coming from. Rural electrification, where did we pick it? Where? The NDC.
Yeah, we were having a situation where there were a lot of communities were not having electricity, and then you and I know the importance of electricity. Without electricity, people cannot participate actively in governance. They cannot participate actively in the economy, because electricity is a very, very important component for industrialization. Without electricity, you wouldn't have any political party coming to frame a policy to establish a district or a factory in one in every district of this country. So that tells you how far in terms of development the NDC have contributed in terms of the development of this nation. I've already mentioned about the health sector. I've already mentioned about and then in the education sector, you remember President Mills, under President Mills, and then John Dramani Mahama, they were able to eliminate schools and the trees. You remember?
They started
they started the e-block system. The MPP came, they stopped, and then now these days it is. I'm told even the district assemblies are struggling even to.
From your studies, why does that happen? One government will start a policy, very good. They will exit power, another government will come. Instead of continuing, they will leave it hanging and then go to introduce a different one. Have you, in a way, come across that in your studies or in your own personal thinking? What is the reason behind these things happening in politics? Because it affects the ordinary Ghanaian.
It affects the ordinary Ghanaian, yes. But in terms of continuity, you can credit former President John Dramani Mahama. For him, he was able to continue previous projects that he came to meet.
Example?
Remember the N1 highway?
Yes.
I do remember it was started by President Kufuor. John Mahama came. He realized that this is a project for Ghanaians, and it is something that is going to benefit Ghanaians.
Correct.
He was able to secure additional funding to complete that program. Are you getting it? There are several projects that I can mention.
The Tamale Teaching
Hospital. Atambles came, and then John Mahama came.
The counterpart funding was secured
to complete the project. Talk of the Tamale International Airport project. So there are so for me, it is, if you want to do a comparison, there's one political party that has Ghanaians at heart, and they think that anytime they are in power, there are certain specific projects that they feel that it will be in the interest of Ghanaians. So why don't we continue it? And there's another political party that is only interested in the votes, that is only interested in winning power. And so the two cannot be the same, even though if you cumulatively, if you are going to put the data together, you will have come to the realization that many of the political parties don't want to continue projects that was previously started by another political party. But you can credit the NDC for having started a lot of previous projects that was started by the rival political party. And for me, I think that to address that issue, I think that we need to look at the National Development Planning Commission, the development that document.
Aren't we wasting time? I mean, growing up, well, I was born in the late 70s, but in the 80s, my eyes were quite open.
And you are quite old.
Yes, we have heard and seen a lot about these national development
planning,
but not much of it has been adhered to. I mean, could we continue investing in something that is unproductive to the nation? It doesn't serve the purpose at which, I mean, it was meant for. I mean, the reason behind its formulation.
Well, there are certain projects. Once it is funded by state resources, you need to complete them. I can tell you, for instance, President Mohammad started a lot of district hospitals. The MPP came, even there are some there is one particular hospital in Greater Accra. The MPP came and demolished it and said they were going to build a new one. Up to date, that hospital, they have not been able to complete it. There are several hospitals which maybe if the MPP had completed, it would have eased the burden of patients commuting long distances in search of health. And health is a very, very important component for human develop as far as human development is concerned. So if they are unable to complete such projects in the name of politics, you are not punishing the political party that started the project. You are punishing Ghanaians, and it is the reason why Ghanaians also need to punish them by voting them out.
So aside the punishment, is there a way we can correct that? I mean, help every politician to appreciate that once something is
already President Mohammad,
previous administrations, the new administration should continue.
Already President
can
John
we make
Dramani,
it a constitutional,
well, if we do that,
right, or I mean article or mandate, just so any government should be adherent to such.
Well, if we do that, I think it will help. But already President Mohammad has assured that for him, if he get the nod of Ghanaians once again in 2025, he is going to continue with existing projects. So we are most likely to have the E-blocks completed. We are going to have the district hospitals completed, so that, because these are education and health are very, very important sectors. You don't just joke with it as a nation, because if you joke with it, you are punishing the ordinary people who wants to access education, who wants to access health. And if you joke with such, you are helping to worsen your multi-dimensional poverty. And multi-dimensional poverty encompasses the citizenry inability to access health, the citizenry inability to access education. It is not about not having enough income. I always tell people that even by the World Bank definition, poverty dimension goes beyond lacking sufficient income. It is also about capability deprivation, and then the people access to social amenities. If the people cannot access health, if the people cannot access education properly, and they are all challenges in the country, then you are worsening the people poverty situation. And thankfully we are having a leader who is very experienced, and he is saying that, judging from my experience, if I am given the nod, I am going to continue with existing projects whilst I enroll out new projects aimed at addressing the challenges of Ghanaians.
Thank you very much. I think time isn't our best ally. The time is up for us to roll down the curtain. But even before we get there, we want to pick your closing remarks. And as part of that, we want you to tell us what we should expect from you going into the future.
Well, for now, I think I will be doing a lot of advocacy journalism.
Okay.
Advocacy journalism doesn't mean that you will see me in the communities with a microphone again, maybe trying to handing over the microphone to them to tell their story. Advocacy journalism will be about maybe the difficult situation that the MPP have put us in. We will try to educate people about some of the difficulties.
Okay.
And then the reason why we need to vote them out. Because every Ghanaian, as it stands now, unless you don't want to be honest with yourself, we are seeing a decline in terms of our personal development, and then in terms of the development of the country as a whole. And I think that we need to vote wisely to reset Ghana.
Okay. Thank you very much. Ashmee Mohammad is his name. He is a communication and media development practitioner or specialist. We are very happy having him around this morning, and then I would make time to have him back again in the coming days. Later, it will be on My TV Ghana this evening, just so you can watch in case you didn't get to follow us from the start. It's been interesting conversations with him, getting him to give us some exposition into his professional life, the journey, and his view on the interplay between media, development, and politics. I trust you've enjoyed every bit of the conversation. This is just the beginning. There will be more in the coming days. My name is Yaro Ismail Kataali, your humble servant at your service. Thanks to the entire production team, from the production directorate, Abdul Razak Zakaria Zak Vela, Marvelous Films International, to the technical directorate Kabul Meza and Abdul Rauf Musa, to the programs Adam Al Hussein, and my special assistant Abdul Ghani Mohammad Hadi Yuma, and of course thanks to Moselle, the Swagadon Papa. Okay, from all of us at Might FM, we say thank you very much for keeping faith with us. Stay blessed, and remember not to do something that will rob you of your good night's sleep. Peace to the max. We are out like that. Song me down.